What's going on, guys? You're in with Hardy Tech, and welcome to the very first episode of what guess for now I will be calling Hardy Talk. It is a new, hopefully weekly, maybe more, maybe less. We'll see how this goes. Podcast like series I plan on doing. In fact, it is a podcast because I plan on putting this on other platforms besides YouTube, like Soundcloud. I know there's another podcast specific site called like Podbean or something like that. I'll probably look into getting that up there. So this will actually be like a podcast, which is why there's no video besides just the title card thing. Because lately I've been super into podcasts and I listen to them whenever I'm working. I listen to them whenever I go to the gym. I just love conversations, and I guess this dates back to me starting to watch Game Explain, because Game Explain does a lot of discussion videos, which are essentially podcasts, and I love listening to those. And I also love just rambling and giving my thoughts on stuff. It's the main reason I enjoyed doing Let's Plays for so long, because I could just sit down and talk about whatever's on my mind, and it was pretty cool. And when I stopped doing Let's Plays again, I did definitely feel that void. I was really burnt out on Let's Plays. I didn't want to do them anymore. I didn't want anything to do with Nuzlocke or Pokemon Let's Plays or any other games. But I still had a desire to just ramble and talk and just air my thoughts about whatever I happen to be thinking at the time. So I thought, why not go down this avenue? Because I know there are some people out there who just do enjoy listening to me talk about stuff. So hopefully I can appeal to you guys. And like I said, the name I decided to go with for this for now, unless anybody can come up with some better ideas, is Hardy Talk. It is a play on Hardy Talk. Gosh, I am so creative. In fact, I'm so creative. I'm gonna read you off some of the other names I was thinking of, because I actually recorded this several hours ago, but I was trying to decide on a name. And that is the only reason I have not recorded this earlier than it is now. Like, it's like 1 p.m. on Tuesday, I think today is. And I was planned on recording this at like 10 a.m. So, well, that's not true. The other reason is Overwatch. The Overwatch beta got extended till today, and I love that game so incredibly much. I didn't even plan on playing it at first. I didn't think I'd have time to play the Overwatch beta. But then I'm like, I have a few extra hours. I'll give it a try. And there went like the rest of my life. Every second I wasn't playing Overwatch, I was wishing I was playing Overwatch. I'm so excited for that game now to come out on the 24th, I believe, which I just remembered is my sister's birthday. So May 24th. Happy birthday, sister. Even though you'll never probably know this even exists. So cool. But when I was trying to come up with names, I was trying to decide if I wanted to have a Pokemon themed name, because I don't necessarily think I want this to be a Pokemon themed podcast, because I don't always want to just talk about purely Pokemon. You know, there's so much going on in the world, like cats. There's a lot of cats going on in the world, and sometimes I just want to sit down and talk about cats. A lot of this podcast will probably be mainly Pokemon, because I love speculating, talking about Pokemon. But can I talk about Pokemon just for an hour every week and not just talk about the same stuff over and over? Maybe, because right now we are in like a newsy period. But what about like a year from now, after Sun and Moon come out and everyone says the Pokemon community is dying again? Maybe not necessarily then. It'd be a bit harder to talk about. But when I was considering trying to come up with a Pokemon-themed nickname, I thought of things like a series name I've used before for another discussion series, Caterpie. I still love that name, and if I did decide to go with a Pokemon-themed name, it would most likely be that, because it's just wonderful. I also thought of Meta Podcast, because ha ha ha, I'm hilarious. And some of the non-Pokemon-themed ones I had was pretty much the only other Pokemon theme name I came up with is HardyCast, but I decided not to go with that because for some reason it reminded me of Holocaust, and it seemed like that may be something I shouldn't be talking about. So yeah. But speaking of things we're going to be talking about, we are going to be having a big Pokemon topic today, because Pokemon Sun and Moon had their starter Pokemon reveal trailer released today. They actually managed to beat the Koro League, so good for them. Also revealed were the legendary Pokemon, sort of. We saw what they looked like. We didn't get any names or anything, as well as the region name and the character designs and some other just miscellaneous information. And today we're going to be discussing this trailer, giving my thoughts on all of this stuff, and then possibly some more stuff later on. But for now, if you came here because of the Pokemon Sun and Moon stuff, well, get excited because that discussion starts right here, right now. So, what do I want to get started with? I'm like clicking through the trailer here, and the very first thing you see is the boy trainer. And I've been seeing a lot of discussion on whether or not trainer customization is back, because we don't necessarily see that. One thing I could see a lot of people were pointing out that supports it is if you click through this, you notice that the boy's shorts on the bottom have a red trim. And in one specific scene, I believe when he's talking to the guy that gives you the Pokemon, that trim is white instead. I don't think that necessarily means trainer customization is back. It could have just been, like it says right on the trailer, game footage is not final. So that could have been something they changed. And it was just a minor little thing that it just went unnoticed when they were doing the trailer, that they had a clip with it still white. Because it's, such a tiny little detail. That kind of stuff sleeps through the cracks all the time. I think if they were going to have trainer customization, they probably would have emphasized it a bit more. And I've talked about this in the past, that I didn't think they were going to bring back trainer customization for Sun and Moon. For probably similar to the same reasons they didn't have an Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that it was kind of it was a Kalos thing, It fit in with the whole France theme. It had like fashion. It was but X and Y in general were very like fashion kind of themed games. I mean, when you look at Furfro, very fashion like. Vivillon with all the different designs, very like fashiony. And so trainer customization fit in there. With that said, I desperately hope I'm wrong. I love trainer customization. Whenever I do a Wi-Fi battle in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I get so sad because everybody looks the same. And I'm currently actually doing a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Y, an Egglocke of Pokemon Y actually. And it's just so much fun to dress up your trainer and give them a unique design. It's just like, even just the changing the hair as such a nice touch. I hated the fact that you had to wear a hat. You couldn't remove the hat. That's stupid. But I don't know why. Like, your rival could have the hat off. Was it just so you could distinguish between them? I don't know. I hope trainer customization is back. As far as I know, I could very well be wrong, but as far as I know, there are no signs of trainer customization in this trailer. As for the actual character designs and the graphics in general, I was actually pretty surprised by this because I didn't think there'd be a huge graphical leap from 6th generation to 7th generation because they are both on the same console. But I guess when you look back at 4th generation to 5th generation, from Diamond and Pearl to Black and White, there actually was a pretty noticeable graphical increase there. Like, not comparing 5th gen to 6th gen where they're on completely different consoles, but 5th generation did look a lot better than 6th generation, and it was only 4th generation. It was only a few years later, so I guess that very little amount of time, things really can be improved a lot. Though, oh my gosh, I guess X and Y did come out in 2013. This October, it'll have been 3 years since X and Y came out. Is that right? Yeah, I think it was 2013. Oh my gosh, I am just so old. That makes me so sad. It wasn't 2014. Sun and Moon, or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out in. Oh my god, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out in 2014. I remember like perfectly when those games were announced and everyone's like, Hoenn confirmed. That was 2 years ago? Oh my gosh, how did that happen? How did we let time pass this quickly? What have I done with my life in the past 2 years? I got a cat. It's the thing. Speaking of cats, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to continue talking about these graphics. I love it. I think these graphics look amazing. My biggest just love for what they did is two things. One, you can see the trainer in battle now. That's so cool. In first through fifth generation, they always kind of showed the trainer slide off to the side, and you were always like immediately right behind the Pokemon. So obviously you weren't going to see the trainer. In Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, and I guess probably Battle Revolution. I never actually played that. But you can see the trainer because it wouldn't make sense for them to disappear. In 6th generation, that wasn't the case. Like, you reappeared to use Mega Evolution, and then you just disappeared again. And the fact that you could see the trainer in the background at all times is such a small touch, but those small touches can really go a long way in making a game really, really enjoyable. And that's just one of those things. Another one of the things I've absolutely loved is in 6th generation, your overworld sprite and your in-battle sprite were pretty different. And it's always been that way in Pokemon games. You've always had a different overworld sprite, and then your in-battle sprite looked a lot more detailed. But I didn't really think that was necessary in 6th generation. Like, in the overworld for 6th gen, you were a lot more chibi and, like, shrunk down and squishy. But in battle, you looked like a normal person. And it got even more confusing when they had cutscenes. Like in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, when you encountered a legendary Pokemon, all of a sudden you're tall and normal-sized again. And then you go back down to weird little squishy chibi. That just kind of inconsistency bothered me. But it looks like, and it might be slight differences, but it seems that the overworld sprites are actually the same as in-battle sprites. And that is just, it's so wonderful. Like, it looks like they might have merged the two styles, like the squishy chibi and the full-grown size, which I'm okay with, because I overall really like the design for both the male and female character. I think I actually prefer the female character, assuming this is the female character that they show in battle occasionally. Oh yeah, it is, because you see her running around. I like the female character. I like the male character as well, but I really, just something about that female character is really cute. Also, did we talk about the region? I don't think we did. But this is another reason why I think we may not actually have trainer customization, is because their clothes feel very coastal, and the new region is called Alola, I believe, Alola. So we now have 7 regions, 8 regions if you count the Sevii Islands, 9 regions if you count Ore. I think Pokemon Rangers introduced like 3 regions or something like that. Gosh, how is anyone ever going to properly map out this Pokemon world? This is getting insane. And like, if you look at the boy's clothing, he feels in place. He feels like an islander. I very, very much assume this is based off Hawaii, or Hawaii-like places. Like, it's a very islandy place. With that said, I'm very curious to see how the rest of the region is going to play out, because normally regions have a lot of diverse terrain. Like, even though Hoenn had water everywhere, it still had a town in the trees. It still had a city. It still had a city in a volcano. It had small towns. It had like a more metropolis kind of place with Rustboro. It had a lot of diversity, and all the regions, for the most part, have a lot of diversity in their terrain and cities. So I'm very, very curious to see what they do here, because right now it really feels like Hawaii-ish, and I don't know how much they'll be able to diverse that. We'll probably go to other terrains. There's probably going to be a volcano area. There's probably going to be a snowy area. There's going to be a foresty area. It's much like Mario, where they're going to follow the same pattern. Like, Mario's like always, the second world is the desert level. The third world's like underwater. I don't think we're going to have the same pattern as every other game, but we're going to have those elements in the world somewhere, because it would just be weird. In fact, we did actually see, I just remember, we saw like a clip of, well, even, I just realized, I went and got over to the clip of In the City. Even that actually seems pretty islandy. And there's also a car on the side of the road with a guy just standing in front of a truck. And you're on an actual road. Are there going to be cars driving around? Pokemon's getting a little too real. Like, I've just taken a moment to look at this town, and if you haven't already, you should totally go to this trailer and just like click around a video, like pause it and just click around and look at all the different like screen grabs. This is amazing. When you go back and look at red and blue, and then you look at this, it just blows my mind how far we've come, and it makes me really proud to see how far we've come, because it's a pretty cool feeling. Speaking of how far we've come, though, let's move on to one of the probably the biggest talking points of this trailer, the starter Pokemon. We got the reveal of the first stage of the 3 starter Pokemon, and the first one of those has pretty much won over the internet immediately, and it is Rowlet. R-O-W usually is pronounced Rowlet. It is a grass flying type owl Pokemon, and I love it. But if the final evolution of this thing isn't the owl from Ocarina of Time, I am going to be very upset. And if the middle stage isn't Blathers, is that his name from Animal Crossing, the fossil dude at the museum? If he doesn't go Rowlet, Blathers, Ocarina of Time owl, I'm just going to be very, very upset, because gosh darn it, we need that in our life. Like, Blathers even has like the green tie too, just like Rowlet does. This just needs to happen. Come on, please, just Game Freak, Pokemon Animal Crossing crossover, Poke Crossing, it just needs to happen. Please don't deny us of this. Then we have the water type starter, who is named Poplio, who is a little otter seal thing. I just love all of these starters. I need to get that out of the way now. I love all these starters so incredibly much. I think he's like an otter. Yeah, I think he's more otter than anything, which is kind of similar to Oshawott, but he does it in a completely different way. I love the little like ball on his nose thing, like a little. Oh, actually, otters might actually have that on theirs. I want to look up a picture of an otter now, because now I feel like I'm getting everything wrong. What is the animal that like balances stuff on their nose? Is that not otter? 'Cause that doesn't. I googled a picture and that doesn't really look like an otter. Oh, wait, it's sea otter, right? I think that's pretty much the same. It's not the same thing. Wow. Also, the scientific name for a sea otter is Anhydra lutris. Thanks, science. Thanks for just ruining everything. I also did not realize that otters and sea otters are not the same thing, so I definitely learned something today. But I love this guy. Super cute. But the starter I'm going to be going with, at least in my first playthrough, is probably not a surprise to a lot of people to know me, and it's Litten. Oh my gosh, it's a fucking cat. Cat starter, cat fire thing, probably going to become a dark type, has like its fur grows when it attacks. It's a cat. I have cat posters on my wall. I have cats in my room. I have a cat theme on my phone. I like cats. All right? I really like cats. And this just it makes me happy. It makes me very happy to see that we have a cat as a starter Pokemon, and I get this thing on my team. But I'm excited to use all these starter Pokemon because I love them all, and I wish that I could just play through with all of them, because that would just make me so happy. And to be fair, I probably can, because if anyone remembers X and Y, it was very easy to get the starter Pokemon because of Wonder Trade. So who knows? I'll wait like 5 hours after the game comes out. I'll just start Wonder Trading things. I'll have the starters in no time. Assuming they bring back Wonder Trade, which if they don't would, in my opinion, be a huge mistake. I can't see them not bringing that back, right? Right? Yeah, that's not something we have to worry about. But yes, the starter Pokemon. I know that the owl is getting the most love. It probably is the cutest. Like, it turns its head 180 degrees towards the trainer when it's like waiting for instruction or whatever, which is just completely adorable. Oh, I just realized we got like a nice view. I'm clicking through the video again. We got like a nice view, like kind of the region. Like, I look like I see a volcano. There's a city. Looks like the hometown. Looks like a cave off in the distance. I don't see any kind of. Well, I think I see the beginning of a forest. Um, okay. This might actually end up being a relatively small region. Shame this is in Pokemon 6 or Generation 6.5, where everyone thought we were going to get a second region, myself included, because it would make sense having a smaller region. Oh well. I want to give credit really quickly to the Pokemon community, though, going back to the starter Pokemon, because it is amazing. Like, I saw fan art of the starter Pokemon probably within like 15 minutes of that trailer being uploaded, and that is so impressive that I can barely draw like a stick figure properly, much less in any kind of short amount of time. And the fact that these people so quickly just got really, really, really pretty fan art done in such a small amount of time, just immediately got on top of that. I am incredibly impressed by. Like, if you ever have some free time, just go look on Twitter or Tumblr or DeviantArt. Just look up fan art of the starters for Sun and Moon. I haven't seen any for the Legendaries yet. I'm sure they're out there. I just haven't seen them on my Twitter timeline. But all the fan art I've been seeing of the starter Pokemon, specifically, mainly the owl, Rowlet, I'm trying to remember their names, of Rowlet, is just amazing. And I sometimes I hate our community. We can be a little weird sometimes, but it's moments like this where I love the Pokemon community. Also, Arby's. I am a big fan of Arby's. I don't really eat there anymore just because I'm trying not to eat fast food in general, because it's a little bit unhealthy for you, and it's also expensive. It's deceivingly expensive. That's a rant for another day. But Arby's tweeted out a picture featuring the Sun and Moon logos made in condiment sauces, and that's just the coolest thing ever. Like, whenever you get your hobbies validated by a place that you like if imagine, okay, just take a second, imagine if like Nintendo knew that you liked M&Ms, and so they tweeted a picture of M&Ms. Wouldn't you be a little happy? Isn't that the worst metaphor of all time? I apologize for that. I'm embarrassed that came out of my mouth. But Arby's tweeted out a picture of the Sun and Moon logos made in condiment sauces, how they were excited about it, and that's just the coolest thing ever. I totally fangirl at that. But enough of me fangirling over stuff that's not official Pokemon discussion. What else is there to discuss in this video besides... Oh gosh, I'm just clicking through and looking at the town. Ooh, seems we're going to have day and night cycle. Don't know why I'm surprised by that. I'm pretty sure we have that in X and Y. I think... Is this the rival? I'm guessing this is the rival, the dude like the yellow shorts, black shirt. If that's our rival, he's smiling at me. I already dislike it. I am so tired of the friendly, hey, let's be best friends and go on a journey rival. I want to hate my rival. I really, really, really want to hate my rival. There's a reason that Blue and Silver are so much more memorable than Wally or Barry, because they were antagonists. They were just giant assholes, and it was lovely, and I so desperately wish they would bring that back, and they just don't. I guess the closest you could say we had to that was N, but even then, he wasn't necessarily a rival. He was the leader of the evil organization. And he wasn't even... Well, I guess he was bad. I was going to say he didn't know he was bad. But I guess that's kind of all the evil organizations. Like, Cyrus was completely insane and thought he was doing good for the world. And same for Lysandra. So, Lysandre? I still don't know how to pronounce his name. Like I said earlier, it's been 3 years. It is over 3 years ago that X and Y were announced. I remember right before the X and Y announcement, I was convinced. I just told everyone, it's not 6th generation. It's stupid. Black 2 and White 2 just came out. They're not going to announce the 6th generation 2 months later. Yeah, they announced the 6th generation 2 months later. I was the fool. Oh well, I'm never right about this kind of stuff. but that's okay. Legendary Pokemon. I was already decided that I was going to get Pokemon Sun over Pokemon Moon. I don't know why that is. For some reason, Sun just felt more appealing. Like, I'm very, very, very quick to make my decisions. I picked Y over X. I picked Ruby over Sapphire. I picked Silver over Gold. I picked Red over Blue. Diamond and Pearl, I think, is the one where I don't really have a specific favorite. I think I got Pearl, and that was only because my sister got Diamond. For some reason, neither of those ever really jumped out at me as like, oh my gosh. Also, I remember when Diamond and Pearl came out, and that was 10 years ago. I think that was 10 years ago. 2006? That sounds right. I'm just starting to make myself depressed with all of this. I'm 21 years old. I'm driving myself to a doctor's appointment later today. I do my finances. I did my taxes, and I don't want to live anymore. Life, when you become an adult, is a very, very sad reality. And hopefully someday I can just transform into a kid. Like, get the Benjamin Button, transform back into a kid. I think that'd be wonderful. But the Legendaries reassured me that I want Sun. The Legendary for Sun is a mess. His face is so weird, in my opinion. I don't understand what's going on with his face. Let me see if we get a better view of it. Oh, okay. Never mind. It was just a screen grab I'm on. It's still weird, though. Like, he has, like, a galaxy in his forehead or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But nowhere as weird as the Legendary for Pokemon Moon. I think it's a bat. I mean, it's cool that it's like body forms a moon, but is it a bat? I don't know. It's ugly. It's incredibly hideous. This is probably my least favorite Legendary design ever. Whenever people make the argument, oh, they're running out of ideas for Pokemon, at least running out of good ideas, I'm probably going to point to this Pokemon from now on. Now, with that said, maybe once I use it, I'll grow to like it, because I didn't like Xerneas at first, and now I actually like Xerneas. This is not a good first impression. This Pokemon, both of the Legendaries, in my opinion, aren't very well designed, but the Moon Legendary bat thing is just hideous. I don't think it looks good at all. I'm very let down by it. I love the starter Pokemon. It's the cat Esper. I have a cat named Esper because I like Pokemon and I like cats, and she's sitting next to me right now. She's sleeping, but I could tell you this. I just looking at her, she's dreaming about what was the cat's name? Let me check that really quick. Litten. Its name is Litten. I think I'm in love, and it's with a fictional cat Pokemon, and I'm okay with that, cause gosh darn, this thing is cute as fuck. But I'm just very let down by these Legendaries. I just don't think they look good. The Sun Legendary looks like an elderly version of Pyroar. The Moon Legendary looks like maybe someone just skinned Cresselia and just laid its skin out. Is that what they did? I don't know. It scares me. They should have just gone with Cresselia and like Solrock. That would have been cool. Also, completely off topic, sort of, but it is about Pokemon. I saw a picture of, you remember the gardens behind the tower where you had to like trap the Furfrou? Furfrou? Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I never realized this before because I've never seen like a picture of the entire thing, but with the exception of where you get the Furfrou up in that top left corner, each group of grass actually has a Pokemon design in it. That is so cool. You'll never really see this unless you see a top-down perspective of the entire thing, because it's not something you can really make out in the game. But I believe the bottom left one is a Chandelure. The top right one is a soul rock, and the bottom right one is a pyroar. That's so cool. It's such a small little detail. Like I mentioned earlier, it's the tiny little details like that. I think I mentioned this earlier. It's the tiny little details like that that could just mean so much to a game. Obviously, this detail might have been just a little too tiny because, I didn't notice it for 3 years after the game came out. I am so old. But I just love that kind of stuff. I love little Easter eggs like that, little cool bits. Sorry, Game Explained, don't come sue me. And hopefully, we have cool stuff like that in this game. But overall, I think that pretty much covers my thoughts for the Sun and Moon trailer. I'm just clicking through the video to see if I find anything else super interesting. Like, I'm not doing a complete analysis or something like this. Also, I just didn't even occur to me, is like the big dude that throws out the 3 Pokeballs, like with the yellow shirt and everything, I assume that's the professor for this region. Why does the guy in the background have a lab coat on and no shirt? Is that just how they do it in Alola? I guess. I mean, it has to be Hawaii, right? This has to be Hawaii. Maybe like another tropical island like Samoa, Fiji. I don't know. Maybe it's Puerto Rico, and they're just gonna donate all the proceeds from this to Puerto Rico. I don't know. Yeah, topical humor. I'm not very good at that stuff. I don't follow pop culture at all. Like my entire, and I talked about this in with my roommate Sarah in my other channel, Tail Controllers, but my entire like group of interest and anything I know about is Pokemon, cats, and wrestling. That's all I know how to talk about. That's all my brain contains information of. It's quite sad when I'm like trapped in a conversation with somebody that doesn't care about any of that stuff, because it's just like, I too have eaten a pineapple once. As I wish that's not an actual conversation I had, but now I kind of want to go out of my way to make that conversation happen. But I think that's going to do it for our first episode of Hardy Talk. I would love some feedback from you guys and let me know where you watch this. More likely a lot of you watch this on YouTube, but it should probably be up on Soundcloud. I'm going to work on looking into other podcast sites possibly. Like I know there's one, like I mentioned earlier, I believe called like Podbean. I'll try to get it up there. May not be right away, but in the future, because I love listening to podcasts. I like being able to just stream them from my phone. YouTube, unless you have YouTube Red, isn't really a good option of doing that because you can't listen to videos with the screen off, which is really stupid. SoundCloud, you can. Highly recommend watching this on SoundCloud or listening to it on SoundCloud. And one thing I'd love for you guys to do is tweet at me at HardyTac some topic discussions you'd like for the next episode of Hardy Talk, because that's probably what we're going to have to do if we're going to have at least like a semi-Pokemon theme show, is you guys send in like discussion topics or questions or whatever, and I'll discuss that stuff, like your thoughts on a specific Pokemon or a thing from a certain game, and we'll have a conversation about that. So thank you guys for checking out the first edition of Hardy Talk. Caterpie, I don't know what this is going to be called. We'll figure this out at a later point. But yeah, Sun and Moon, November 18th. Oh my gosh, 4 days before my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Also, credit to Magnitude, our trainer Steve, I think he's known as now, for correctly predicting the release date back in February. That's awesome. Like, I mean, if you study the releases, it's probably relatively easy to predict when it was going to come out. But yeah, he called that back in February, and it was right about it. So congratulations to him on that. But I will talk to you guys next time, and until then, I'm Hardy Tech Yo-Yo.